Hello, my loves. Welcome back to Chemistry with Kismet Tarot. I'm Monica, the Kismet Chemist. If you are new to my channel, welcome. Welcome to the family. I am honored to have you. If you are returning, welcome back. I have missed you. All right, my loves. So in today's Pick a Card video, we are getting messages about what it is that your heart and soul are alchemizing. So as you guys can see, there are flipped cards underneath. I wanted to use those to set the energy, but these are kind of the hidden gems within this alchemy process that you are going through. We're going to be pulling a wild unknown alchemy card and getting some deeper messages. Now, I know that my lighting is a bit off. I am in front of the window, and yeah, we're just kind of going to roll with it for now until I decide whether this is the right setup for me or if I want to shift to a different placement within the room or anything like that. But in the meantime, please bear with me as we are going through all these changes. And that actually is one reason why I am so certain that this message is the right message at this exact right time, because when we are alchemizing anything, whether it's within our heart, our soul, our mind, what we're doing is we are taking something, a perspective, a feeling, an idea, an inspiration, and we are transforming it into a different form. So I've spent a lot of my time transforming certain things in my life, especially my perspective surrounding the things that I have gone through, the pains, the traumas, the losses, transforming those in order to see the light, see my life in a much different perspective. So I am able to see myself with a different, more loving perspective. And that process means that there are going to be moments where things don't quite work the way that we want. They don't quite match up. They don't quite fit exactly as we hope they will. And so with all of that said, I want you to know, if you are feeling as though all of a sudden everything in your inner world has suddenly shifted and changed and you're not entirely sure how to perceive yourself or the world, this reading is for you. So we have 4 piles here, and I'm going to shuffle the Wild Unknown Alchemy deck and get one signifier card for each pile. And then we will go ahead and read those cards at the beginning of each pile. Okay, so Spirit and Spirit Guides for the collective. Can we get an alchemy card for pile 1? And if you guys want to skip through this and do the meditation, the timestamps are in the comment section in the description box below. Also timestamps for your pile. So let's just... All right, pile 1. We have the card Sanguis and Blood. Pile 2. Pile 2, we have the card Argentum Vivum with Quicksilver. Wow, pile 3. Pile 3, we have the card Ouroboros with the Great Serpent. And pile 4, Spirit and Spirit Guides for pile 4. We have the card Margarita Preciosa with the New Pearl. The New Pearl. All right. Oh, I love this. Check it out, guys. On the back, we have Jupiter or Jupiter. So this is about expansion. This is about abundance. This is about coming into a greater awareness of our own shining light, our own ability to be the alchemist, to transform our lives into the most golden energy and golden path and walk that path with confidence. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and put on some meditation music for you guys, or we've been doing meditation bird sounds. I think we're going to stick with that. Take some time with the cards, with your guides, get in touch, get in tune. Allow yourselves to be led to the pile that is right for you. You may have multiple messages in multiple piles. By all means, listen to the ones that call. I love you all, and I will see you at your piles. Hello, pile one. If you chose the first pile and the card Sanguis or blood, this is your message about what you are alchemizing right now. Okay, pile one. So, sorry if the sound keeps going in and out. I'm going to try and be more mindful of that. But I had Willow. Willow had wanted to go outside while I was listening to the song for your pile, and it is the song Blood Bank by Bon Iver, and it is correlated with the alchemy card itself. But she wanted out of the room during the music, but then as soon as I started filming, she was outside whining, as she is a little bit right now. But she has been giving me tells, giving me indicators. Hi, sweetie. Right now, her indicator is that she wants me. So there are times, and you want to say hi? Say hi, Willow. Say hi, pile one. Okay. All right. So there are times when Willow and I come together in which she really does want her own space. She gets very independent. And then there are times where it is very much she needs my attention. And this morning she's demanding, I'm going to let her out because that is her let me out. Okay, pile one, I am back. So we're going to start this whole message all over again. You guys can take what you need to from the beginning, but I want to talk to you guys about expansion and distraction. When we are alchemizing something, a lot of the time we can feel as though everything that we're doing is nothing more or less than a distraction if we aren't actively taking steps forward. So something that I've noticed is as of late, I've been playing more games on my phone. I've been playing Sudoku, and then I have like a puzzle game where it's like a water fill game. So you have to match the colors and fill the water up. And I just saw the camera jump. And so I always take that, if my hands aren't in the screen, I always take that as a confirmation. We can feel as though we're sitting there doing mindless, needless things because what are we doing? Am I moving? Am I flowing? Distractions sometimes are what we need in order to slow the brain down. So something that I realized while doing this is I've been struggling to meditate in a traditional sense. However, when I gift myself time to sit and do Sudoku puzzles, as long as I don't get frustrated, when I put one on expert or something, but if I give myself the time to sit and do it and solve these puzzles, all I'm focusing on is one step, one number, one color, anything like that. I am focusing on a sense of moving to completion. And with that, I have noticed I am calmer. My blood pressure is lower. My anxiety has really moved in a completely different direction than it was before, because I'm giving myself, my body, my mind, my energy, the time to not constantly focus on where am I going? What am I doing? What is my direction? Am I doing the right thing? Am I leaving the right mark in this life? And that message came through after I let Willow and Jade outside. They just they have to be a buddy-buddy system. They have to go together. It's just kind of how they operate. And it was this awareness that there are times where we can perceive something as a distraction, but what it is we're waiting for another part of ourselves. We're waiting for another version of ourselves to come with us. And there's a part of us that has to catch up in the process. So what you're alchemizing right now, it's asking you to consider the fact that some of the things that you think that you need to do in order to have direction and purpose in your life flows as easily through your life as your blood flows through your veins. You don't spend any extra time thinking about, well, is my blood flowing properly? Am I pushing it through my veins? Do I need to consciously make sure that my blood is circulating? Your body has a natural rhythm, a natural flow that we're designed to be that way, which is a true, magical blessing from the divine, in my opinion, is that our body, our organs, our vital systems function on their own without us giving it conscious awareness. And that allows us to direct our conscious awareness on other things. So that's your first message, is some of the things that you're doing need to be redirected into allowing yourself to see that when we perceive ourselves to be distracted, what we're actually doing is giving ourselves a rest, giving ourselves a break. It's about the balance between that and realizing, am I doing this unconsciously and just operating on an unconscious level, or am I consciously aware of the amount of time that I am distracted by this one thing? And am I really distracted, or am I giving myself rest? Am I giving myself a break? So moving from there, let's read about the Sanguis and Blood card. This is the card 37. And 37 reduces to 10, which reduces to 1. 10 being the World or the Wheel of Fortune card, which does correlate with Jupiter. So I did leave this out because it is a collective energy. So, and I apologize if my visuals are kind of patchy. I'm in the middle of getting an upgraded computer system with a higher processing speed. So right now, running a 4K with the computer system that I have, it just is running on a slower processing. And so I just wanted to make sure you guys know, I know this can be a little bit jolty, and I apologize for that. I love you all for bearing with me through the transition phase. We're waiting for the stuff to come in the mail. So let's see what it says. It talks about the pulse, physicality, and the body. It says, have no fear of the blood card. It indicates a remembrance of the vital, mammalian nature of our existence. Drop by drop, this sacred elixir reminds us that we are alive, not merely thinking beings, but being beings. When blood is in the prima materia in the laboratory, the alchemist uses the physical body as the starting point, building a relationship to the container that houses the spirit. Through the limbs, the organs, the cells, we witness the miracle of life one heartbeat at a time. Eventually, the alchemist naturally partakes in practices that support and nourish the blood's life-giving nature. We learn to honor and protect it. In alchemy, red is the color of vitality and radiance. With this card, you've dropped into the vital realm. Sing the body's praises. And it says, go deeper, listen to the song Blood Bank by Bon Iver, and ponder the presence of the pulse. That's exactly what we were talking about earlier, about how we don't give conscious awareness and conscious thought to the blood flowing through our veins because it just does. In a big way, this is the same as there are times in our lives where we realize that we're not giving conscious awareness to spirit and to spirit's presence within our lives and within the world. We walk through this world and people talk about being awake or being asleep, being trapped in the matrix or being free of it. We walk through this world and we don't see how beautiful each and every moment is. We don't see the blessing. We walk through and we don't realize that every step that we're taking is leading us in a direction. Now, the other message that I got has a lot to do with the inheritance and the direction that is flowing through your veins from the inherited blood from your ancestors. And as of late, I've been working with my ancestors more. I've been talking to them more, but I've also been called deeply to tap into and connect more with my mother's line. And that's not something that I do very often, but it was my mother's line who was calling to me. And this is an awareness that we have that there are times in our lives where we will be called by a specific ancestral realm or pattern or people's spirits, groups that we may not have thought of before. And they're not trying to knock us off our path. They're trying to help us understand that we have the help surrounding us so that we don't feel as though we are walking through this desolate sand and that the only thing that will ever remember us is the imprint that our foot leaves in that sand. And in that way, all it takes is a gust of wind, or if you're on the beach, all it takes is one high tide, and the prints that you leave in this world get washed away. But when our ancestors and our blood begins singing with this awareness that we don't have to have left some sort of physical mark in this world in order to leave an imprint. When that starts singing through our entire system, starting with the blood and flowing all the way through our bodies, we come into this awareness of just how important we are. Because we are ancestors walking in the present moment. We are ancestors. Each and every one of us are ancestors for everyone who is going to come after us. As life always continues marching forward, we are leaving the mark that will connect us to those who will come again down the line. It's a beautiful cycle of life. And this is something that you may have felt lost. You may have felt abandoned or left out in the desert by your ancestors, by your family, wondering, why was I born here? What was the purpose of me being born into this particular family, into this particular dynamic? The purpose of it was for change, for you to realize what impact you truly make, the change that you make in the world, that you make within your own blood. So let's take a look at your cards. Yes, we have Holy Grail, inner discovery, finding sacredness. You are what you seek. This is you coming back to the self and realizing all that you contain, but also the beauty and the blessing that is this life that we live. And the Holy Grail in and of itself, with this here, it's like the blood that flows through your veins is the Holy Grail itself for your life. It's finding out for yourself that you are a sacred being, that this life is a sacred journey. And so the direction that you take, it's not going to be decided by the mind. It will be decided by the heart. So as you alchemize all of the different ways in which you have been operating in what I've heard referred to as the not self or the ought self. And I get more the ought self for you guys. So OUGHT. And the ought self is that perception of who we believe we're supposed to be because other people tell us, well, you ought to do this and you ought to do that and you ought to be this and you ought to be that. But they don't know. And because they don't know, it's not a definitive statement that they make, but we choose whether or not that becomes a definitive. You're realizing that you are the one that determines what you ought to do, what not to do, what to do. You're the one that contains the holy grail of wisdom about the direction that you're meant to take in this life within yourself. It's in your blood. And your ancestors have been coming forth for a while. I get this feeling that you guys knew this already. They've been coming forth for a while trying to help you understand that they're not there to ought you. They're not there to put more upon you. They're there to take what you have been carrying that has been theirs to carry off your back so that you can realize that you are free to sail into the future, to find your direction, to find your purpose through going internally. And you have been doing this inner discovery for a while. You know what you're doing. They simply want you to know that they're there for you. Yes, prosperity lies ahead. New moon in Taurus. So this is letting you know when we shed the ought self, when we shed that part of us that everyone else has said who we are supposed to be, we have to take that time to alchemize it, to transform the ought self into the true self. You're on a path right now. Even though it doesn't seem like it, you might be spinning in circles or just feel like you're doing nothing, but you are on a path. And I'm sure that you guys have heard many times before, prosperity lies ahead. And then there's no tangibility to what you're supposed to do. And I even can't make it tangible for you. I tried 1.5 million different ways to get answers outside of myself to make this channel tangible, to make Kismetology tangible, to make my dreams and my wishes and my hopes and my goals tangible, to get that constant confirmation that this is what I'm supposed to do. And it's because there have been so many ought self versions of me that I didn't know what to do because I didn't know who I was. The greatest gift we can give ourselves is learning ourselves, because when we learn ourselves, we learn spirit. We learn this unique version of spirit that we are in this life, and then we find the right direction for us. No matter how many times you are told that prosperity, abundance, financial blessings, a windfall is coming your way, it won't come until you believe it, until you see it within yourself, and you realize that you're the one that has the map, the treasure map to your future. You're the one. And you are the one that defines what prosperity and abundance means in your life. For me, prosperity means I don't struggle with money. It doesn't mean I'm super rich. It means I don't have to stress about whether I'm going to pay the mortgage and whether I can pay the phone bill and whether I can do this and whether I can do that as far as paying bills and then still be able to eat. That's what prosperity means to me. And yes, that may be a sad take on the true state of the financial hardships that I have endured in my life. But I don't need extreme, I don't need all of that. If that's how you define prosperity, if you define prosperity by, I want to be a jet setter, I want to own my private jet, then define it that way. And then realize that if you've chosen that definition, it's because it's written in your heart and soul. And that's what you have decided. There's no one out there who is wiser than you are. right here, last quarter moon in Gemini, clear your mind. This is exactly what I was talking about with the games. It clears my mind. I do the same thing. I used to do it with, like Sudoku puzzle books and filling crosswords and crossword puzzle books. And I do it with crocheting, with doing the dishes. There are times where I just need to clear my mind, and traditional meditation for me is a challenge. I'm neurodivergent. I have severe combined ADHD, ADD, and I am constantly distracted by everything that you would define as a squirrel with the attention of goldfish half the time. So I have to give myself new techniques to clear my mind. Things like crocheting, where you have to pay attention to the stitching and to the way everything is flowing and to moving from one row to the next, or making sure that you are doing the round the right way so you don't have to frog back. That's important. But you are so hyper focused on this singular thing, and at the same time, you are actively engaging in creativity, that you're able to clear your mind of everything else going on. Even the background track can continue to play, but you pay it no mind, and therefore it gets to pass right through you. It's just like meditation. So when you are going to do this, don't hyper analyze it, but let yourself just flow with it. You've got to be shitting me. I swear to you guys, I don't look at these cards. We've got Jupiter in abundance. Things are changing. The more that you embrace this, the more that you give to this awareness within you, that you don't have to expend all energy to change your consciousness, to change your mindset, to change your perception, that it can be alchemized within your very blood. And you can let that be something that naturally flows while you give yourself a break. The more you'll see change. But I love that you guys got Jupiter here, especially seeing how this is the overall energy. All right, can I get 10 of coins? Do I need to say anything more? For real. Have I not said it all now? Spirit's like, yeah, we've said it. And the 6 of rods, or the 6 of wands. The 7 of cups. This has been the problem. You've been stuck on this. Do I go this way? Do I go that way? This way, that way? What do I do? Instead of hyper-analyzing, clear your mind and allow yourself to really step into that abundance internally. Because what you do is less important than what you bring to what you do. And with that, there is this promise of victory, this promise of abundance right here. You've got the 10 of coins and the 6 of wands. I couldn't have asked for a better spread. Couldn't have asked for better cards. So before we go, let's get astrological energies you can work with. So we have the South Node, Cancer, and the second house. So the South Node is about the inherent skills and gifts, but it's also our comfort zone. So you are more comfortable pulling into your shell. But this is saying that there is a past life inheritance from your mother's side that is ready to bring in abundance into your life. If you open yourself up to it, if you do not hide away in your crab shell and you open yourself up to it, this is waiting for you right here, because the second house is all about our inheritances. The Cancer rules the 4th house, our roots, our ancestry, but it's also our home, our family life. And the South Node really does awaken the things within ourselves that we have inherently gifted to us based off of our soul's journey. So there is a lot awakening within you. Give yourself grace. Allow yourself to take a rest, to take a break, to step into that abundant energy, but doing that in a very passive, very receptive way, where you become receptive to your own alchemization within. Wow, pile 1. Wow. I'm amazed by you guys. I want to say thank you so much for being here. This is what I have for you. I am truly honored to bring these messages for you. I also want to say thank you to your guides, my guides, and the Great Spirit for connecting our energies and helping facilitate these messages so they flow through and reach those who are open, receptive, and ready to hear. Thank you. Pile 1, if this resonated and you would like to do an equal energy exchange, I would truly appreciate it. I would be honored. You can like this video, subscribe to my channel, hit that notification bell so you don't miss my upcoming videos, comment in the comment section below. Let other Pile 1s know that you guys are in this together. And of course, sharing your stories. I love reading your guys' stories. I really do. And yeah, you can also find links to donate to my channel in the description box. And from here, I will leave you. Thank you again for being here, or I will see you at my next reading. Bye, Pile 1. Hello, Pile 2. If you chose the second pile, the Argentum Vivum and Quicksilver, your alchemization right now has everything to do with interpretation. And this is palmistry. And one thing about palmistry that always gets to me is the fact that I haven't studied palmistry extensively. I do know most of the astrological correlations to it, but I went down to Florida in July of 2022, and I discovered that if I simply opened up my gifts and looked at the lines, knowing the minimal that I knew, that I was able to interpret what I was seeing, but also feeling and experiencing into messages for the person. And a lot of times we can kind of overanalyze the way that our psychic gifts work. I know that I myself have done that time and time again. But Pile 2, you have a very unique gift. Now, before we read the book, the Quicksilver card is correlated with the sign Mercury. And if you look, Mercury is the pinky finger. And one thing that I do know about palmistry is there are lines underneath the pinky. And these lines are said to denote healers. You have this unique ability to see things and interpret them without needing extensive prior knowledge, but just knowing. It's a form of claircognizance, but it's deeper than that because you can interpret words spoken, intentions behind the words, the ways that they are said, and be able to kind of, it's like seeing beyond the veil of what someone is saying to what is the underlying motivation. I'm trying to be able to put it into words that doesn't sound like a psychological tool. In a way, it kind of is a psychological tool, but it doesn't feel like psychology. It feels more soul deep. So right now, you may have experienced something in your life that has asked you to look with new eyes. I'm actually seeing when I change between contacts and glasses, when I wear my contacts for an extended duration of time, protein builds up on the contacts and they get dirty. And so you need to take them out and clean them. And every time I switch, I do that major change between contacts and glasses. The initial start of either one feels like suddenly the world has come into focus. Even if I've been wearing my glasses for a long time and, they're clean and everything, there's still a different sense of vision that comes with putting my contacts in. And the reverse happens. So when we see through a specific lens for a long duration of time, things can build up upon that lens. Experiences, preconceived notions, wounds, traumas, anything like that. It can build up upon the interpretation lens that we're viewing things. You have a unique ability to kind of have interchangeable interpretive lenses that you are able to switch around. So it's not just about how people say things, but it's the different ways of viewing something. So you could look at the stars, or you could look at your natal chart and read it one way. And then down the line, say 6 months later, you could look at it and all of a sudden the stars are saying something completely different. And it's because you have shifted the lens in which you're interpreting it. So let's take a look at what the book says here, because this is a very powerful alchemical gift you have awakening within you. And the Quicksilver card is card number 24. So 24s may be repeating for you. Also 6s. June 24th, which is in 2 days from when I'm filming this, could be a significant date for you. I know that came through in one of my channeling sessions earlier that I posted on my community page as well. So it says, Quicksilver is slippery, mobile, and correlated with Mercury, the element Mercury. Part liquid and part metal, Quicksilver, also known as Mercury, is a mesmerizing material. Its gift is to slip between worlds. It cannot be pinned down or easily defined. Mercury came to symbolize the god Hermes and the great hermetic secrets of alchemy, always sliding away into secrecy just beyond the alchemist's grasp. It is said that Mercury represents the transition between the physical and the unseen worlds, between life and death, between science and the esoteric. It is the metal of sacred thresholds. Shamanic practitioners of every tradition must acquire the ability to stand at the doorway between worlds. This is no small feat. The Mercury card indicates the querent has a particular gift for such a task. This is the work of the shaman, teacher, sage, artist, and alchemist. Heed the call of Quicksilver. The sacred threshold requires your attention. Or attendance. Ooh, attention. So this is about you're paying a lot of attention to one particular interpretation of the ways in which you are able to move throughout this world and other worlds. It's like you're looking at astral projection and you're like, well, I have to do astral projection in a specific way. Excuse me, I need a yawn. That is my sign that I'm moving energy. Somebody actually taught me that, one of my subscribers, which if you're in this pile, thank you. But you may be interpreting something like astral projection in a specific way because that's what everybody says it has to be. But you're not everybody else. You're you. And that means that you have this unique ability to come back to yourself. When you drop Mercury, like you take a dropper of Mercury and you put it down on a solid surface, Mercury will shatter, but you can herd it back together. So any kind of interpretation or viewpoint or experience that you've had that has made you feel as though all your pieces have shattered or have spread apart, even just your energy, you have this innate ability because it's like magnets. You are more attracted to yourself. So the pieces of your soul are more attracted to coming back to you than to being wherever they have been partitioned or split off. And because this is something that is inherent to you, you also have the ability to help others create this alchemical process within themselves to transform something like silver into quicksilver. So transform what they are reflecting or seeing in the world, how the world is reflecting back to them, and what that is reinforcing within them. If it's a toxic mindset, you're able to take that and alchemize it by shifting the interpretation, to, like putting on a new interpretive pair of glasses. And in doing so, you shift something internally within another person, and they suddenly no longer see a negative reflection. They start seeing all the positives of themselves in everything. And in doing so, they become quicksilver instead of silver, and they start pulling all of their disparate pieces together to form a whole picture, a whole image, a whole perspective in order to move forward in their life. And the thing about that is right now, you're in the midst of an alchemization to pull more pieces in order to emerge more fully out into the world with this gift. Because a lot of the times we first must understand ourselves before we can fully understand another, because this world is nothing more or less than a reflection. So when we're out in the world, we're interacting with others, they're reflecting back pieces of ourselves. If we already know about these pieces, then that reflection back to us does not entangle us with that other person. And because there is no longer an entanglement, we are more able to come forth as our fullest self in service of others, because we know that this is what we are meant to do, and we can help others understand that they're able to find what they're meant to do. That's quite beautiful, pile two. Let's take a look at your other cards. Confidence is the key to your success with the new moon in Leo. Right now, the way that you are alchemizing your inner world, you're pulling back your confidence from something in which you went into it very trusting. I don't know what the situation was. It's likely to be different for everyone, but it has the same undertones. The energy is telling me that it was something you walked into and you were building your confidence in this situation. Whether you left the situation or it fell apart or what have you, whatever it was that transpired, there was a hit to your confidence, but the hit to your confidence opened a portal within yourself in order for you to be able to pull a piece from the past that was telling you something that you could not do or be. So Spirit's giving me an example. So when I went and was a manager for a while, I needed to go through that experience in order to have the confidence in order to step up as a leader in my own life. Because over the course of my life, I had people who bullied me and told me, you'll never be this, you'll never be that, you're not good enough, you're not worthy enough, this and that. And as much as I have built my self-confidence and my self-assurance up, that piece was still tethered to those times. And so I needed to go through an experience where I had the confidence to stand in my own grace and stand in my own authority and say, this is what's right for me and this is what's not right for me. And I am choosing the path that is right for me. And to do that, and as I did that, I was able to extract that part of me back here into the present moment. This is your ability is so vast, but you have to have the confidence in order to come forth into the world and say, this is how I see things. This is how I perceive things. And it is ever changing and ever fluid, just like Quicksilver, just like me, just like you, just like the soul of every one of us. And I am going to confidently stand in that. And I know that I will be successful in whatever my endeavors are, because I am confident in what I know, in what I am able to do, and in what I am called to be of service of in the world. It's very beautiful. So we have the Anunnaki light codes, energetic shift, new information, the end of a cycle. Yes, this is exactly right. It's the shifting into that different lens, that different view. Now, the Anunnaki, you can call upon them. They're a different race of people. Something that I learned when I heard about the Anunnaki the first time, I had discovered that I was connecting to them in meditation. and didn't realize it because I had been drawing images that reflect what they are described to be. And I kept saying, what is this? What is this? Why am I continually drawing these like bird-like people? I never understood it until I learned about the Anunnaki. Sometimes we do things and we don't fully understand it because we need to go through a shift. We need to close something down. We need to choose what is right for us and step confidently into that so that new information can come to light. Now, this card, the Anunnaki card, also talks about how if this card comes up for you, it means that they are available for you to tap into. So if you feel called, you can do a meditative practice that connects yourself to them and receives the information that they are ready to gift to you. Then we have full moon in Scorpio. Breathe through the tension. So, okay, they wanted me to do this one too. Saturn in structure and another 24. This is whenever we are working with Saturn, scorpionic energy, this is a lot of transformative energy. The alchemical process can be a deeply uncomfortable process because we are changing the makeup of our cells, our genes, our DNA. We're changing the makeup of our energetic system. And our energetic system has a ripple effect, not just outward, but inward. So you are going through this phase, this time, this alchemization, in which you're learning how to stand more firmly and confidently in your power, but also to realize that the structure of beliefs that other people may have for specific things like your gifts are not necessarily your interpretation. And if you are true to yourself, you're able to breathe through that tension and move beyond it confidently, doing that energetic shift. But first, you have to realize what your own interpretation and perspective is. You have to be able to view that yourself first and foremost. So let's get a little bit more information here. Spirit and guides for pile 2. What more do they need to know? Okay. On the back, we have the 2 of Cups. So with the 2 of Cups, it's talking about coming together. And I know a lot of the times it's considered the soulmate card, but this energy is that coming together of all those pieces of you. We have the Star, the Empress, and the Queen of Blades or the Queen of Swords. So this is about you filling yourself with the enlightenment, with the hope, with the truth, the clarity, the peace that you are capable of creating and receiving the wisdom and the creation of wholeness within yourself. And then having that clear vision, that clear perspective, that clear pathway forward. But first, you are going through this alchemical process to open that up. So breathing techniques may be helpful. I like to use the Wim Hof breathing method, which you can check out on YouTube. It's beautiful, wonderful, helps activate your pineal gland and redirect your entire body system. But whatever it is that is right for you, you're being asked to realize that the structure of what you know to be true may seem like it is in defiance of the rest of the world. And the rest of the world may come at you. But you can breathe through that tension and stand firmly in your light and in your confidence and move through it, make that shift and stand firmly. And this is what my truth is. Let's get some astrological wisdom. So we have the sun in Aries and the 12th house. When the sun is in the 12th house, it gifts you with this deep connection to the spiritual realm. Your whole being feels like it shines forth from the subconscious mind. And with Aries, this is all about your body. So this may come through in a multitude of different ways, but this is about owning yourself and owning your power and really being true to your own uniqueness, your own individuality. Shining your gifts forth and saying, this is how it works for me. It may not work that way for you, and it may not be how everybody says it's supposed to, but this is how it works for me. I know this is my truth, and I'm standing firm in that. And I know my own inherent wholeness within. And because of that, I have structured my life around that. And it doesn't matter the tension that I face. It doesn't matter the stress and the strain that other people have, because you can break me, but I will always find my way back to myself. And I will be stronger because of it. And other people may not understand that, but that's not for them. It's for you. All right, pile 2, this has been your message. Wow. Let me know how it resonated. I would love to know. I do want to say thank you so much. Thank you to your guides, my guides, and the Great Spirit for connecting our energies, facilitating these messages, and allowing them to flow through so they may be received by those who need them in the time they need them. Thank you. Pile 2, if this resonated, I would love to know. Go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, comment in the comment section below. I always love getting your guys' feedback and knowing how it resonated, what the synchronicities are, this and that. I just love interacting with you guys and hearing your stories. So with all that said, I love you guys, and I will see you at my next reading. Bye. Hello, pile 3. If you chose the third pile and card, the Ouroboros card, this is your message about what you're alchemizing. So the first thing that I want to start with is the fact that we have the number 45 here. 45 reduces down to a 9, and 9s are about that one final step. We have one final step before completion, one final thing that needs to be done. When I think of 9s, a lot of the time I think of the 9 of Wands, and the 9 of Wands oftentimes talks about being on the defensive. But for me, it's that one step before you get to the 10 of Wands, where you know you're on the home stretch of the journey. Yes, it feels like you're carrying a burden on your back, but it's up to you to transform that burden. Now, what you don't realize you're alchemizing is this Wheel of Fortune, and it says fate. So fate and destiny are two very different things. That's actually what Kismet means, is fate and destiny. It's both of them intertwined. Fate is what happens when we engage with life. We set off a set of circumstances that determines the fated journey we will go on. Destiny, on the other hand, is something that is preordained. It's something that is determined by the universe. So the universe determines that we have a specific destiny to follow in this life. And no matter what fated path we take, we will eventually, at the end, fulfill our destiny. When we are on a fated path, a lot of things that end up being fated for us can feel heavy. They can feel painful. They can need transmutation and alchemization because we've taken a step and it may feel like a mistake. When we perceive something to be a mistake is when we're asked to take a step back and look at it with a different lens, with a different view. Look at the way in which one action, one decision that you made changed the entire course of your life. That was a fated action, a fated decision. You took a hold of the reins and decided that I'm going to direct my journey this direction, whatever direction it was. So right now you may be in a kind of hermit phase, a review phase, taking a look at everything and saying, how did I end up here? But instead of being like, how did I end up here? Say, how did I end up here? Where did I choose one direction where there was another path. What resulted from me choosing that other direction, or choosing this direction? Is that other direction something that I may want to revisit? You're at a point right now where normally the pendulum swings, the pendulum is still. You're being moved to the top so that instead of pushing it, you're the one directing the flow of the pendulum. As we move into this phase where we realize that we are co-creating this existence so we can live out our destiny while still having fated experiences, fated interactions, fated journeys. When we're alchemizing that, we get this opportunity. It's where the ending and the beginning meet. A grand doorway opens, and it's for us to determine how to walk through it and what direction from there. So let's take a look at the book. All right. All right. So it says Ouroboros, the great serpent, the tail eater, the guardian, the quantum realm. The Ouroboros is an all-encompassing glyph of the alchemical process. The hungry snake bends itself around you in a gesture of protection and guardianship, giving you the space and safety to participate in the work. Anything and everything can be offered into its mouth for transformation. Good, bad, blasphemous, or precious. The materials of our life transmute into gems along the great serpent's spine. Along with your woes, that the Ouroboros engulfs every pair of opposites. What is masculine becomes feminine. What is sky becomes earth. What is past becomes future. When this card appears, you have entered the quantum realm. Everything is a possibility. No one knows the limits of the Ouroboros. Just when you fell into thinking that your life was straightening out, the snake takes you once again into its gaping mouth for an entirely new trajectory. And it says, ponder your iris encircling the pupil. And this brings me to a memory that happened back in March for me. I was at the doctor's office and she was looking at my eye. And though it's not my iris, there is a blue ring around my eye in the white area. And it was that moment in time where she looked at that the past 14 years prior of all of my medical journey changed. That was the moment that I was diagnosed with Ehlers-Danlos. And I sat there, and for a while I wondered, why didn't we notice this sooner? Why didn't we find this faster? Why did it take this long? Why was there the misdiagnosis? Why all of this? And then I got put into the how did I get here? And I started thinking about all of the series of events that had to occur in order for me to understand what was going on with my body, to accept what was going on with my body, and to realize that this was part of the journey that I am playing or fulfilling in this life. We go through these endings. For me, that was a massive ending, a massive shift in my life, and it has taken me months to move into a state of, this is not going to control my life. The fear of dying young and knowing what it is that I'm facing for the rest of my life and understanding it, that fear drove me elsewhere, away from my path, away from my purpose, away from my passions, away from this channel. It drove me across the country. I was facing my own mortality, and I always thought that I would be the person that was like, I don't fear death. And I realized I was afraid to die. I was afraid of this terminal long-term illness that I've been living with my whole life, that I watched take the life of my dad. Suspectedly. We don't know that for sure because he died many, many years ago and there's no way to find out. But regardless, I was in the exact opposite reaction as I expected. Someone who has dealt with self-harm and suicidal ideations like myself, I honestly always thought that if I was facing my own impending death, no matter whether it was 5 months, 5 years, 15 years, no matter how much time it was, that I'd face it bravely. And I thought I was. And then I realized I was just running from everything that I wanted in life because I was afraid that when I was gone, I was leaving nothing behind. My mind and my heart turned to material things. I don't make money off of my channel. Like I don't make money with what I do. My husband is literally the sole breadwinner in our family. We struggle. And I didn't want that struggle to continue because I didn't want to leave this world having left behind struggle. Especially not for my kids, not for my husband. That was not the way that I wanted my life to end because I experienced that when my dad died. He left behind a struggle for my mom, for us kids, and it radically changed my life. It created more struggle in my life and strain, and I've worked very hard at overcoming the mental and the emotional implications of that. One fated decision to mention something that a doctor said offhand to my primary care doctor led to a diagnosis, to understanding that I had spent 14 years fighting the medical field, telling them they weren't listening to me, that they were wrong, and finding out that I was right, that I knew my own body, I knew what was going on internally, and I had nothing to base it on other than sheer intuition. I should have taken it as a win at the time. My intuition was right. I was right. I should have felt vindicated. I didn't. And I didn't realize that I didn't. I realized well down the line that I was afraid. And yet I'm back here doing what I'm doing, sharing my story with you all because it matters. I don't know why it matters, not in terms of your story. I know why it matters for me. Because if I'm going to turn my fear into motivation, I'm going to turn it into hope. I'm going to turn it into faith. I'm going to meet the end of this cycle of fear in my life and decide that that is not how the next cycle is going to begin. You're at the point of a new cycle, a choice, a decision that you can make. You've seen the tail. You're ready to initiate the beginning. Remember that everything that ends also begins. Everything that begins also ends something else. But when you choose to go to the top of the pendulum, the top of the wheel, you choose to say, I understand. I understand the implications. I understand the fear. I understand the worry. I understand. But I also understand who I am, how strong I am. And I understand that I am ready to overcome. So let's find out a little bit more about what you're ready for. We have the new moon in Aquarius, and it says, bring love into the situation. This is about you choosing to view things through the lens of how the divine sees it. A lot of people will downplay this life and say, if you take this life too seriously, you'll never get out alive. I think that was George Carlin who said that. Or talk about how short this life is. And I know I've talked about that myself. Like this This life is the blink of an eye to the universe. But you know what? When we're in it, it isn't. It isn't a blink of an eye. We'll say that from time to time when we reach the end of a school year, or our kids turn another year old, or we turn another year old, and you say, it just went by so fast. It was like I blinked and it was gone. And yeah, it can feel like that. It can feel like that. But when you revisit the memories, you see how much you experienced in those years, in that 1 year, in that time. And when you do that, what you see is what you're bringing to the situation. So if you look through the lens of fear, you're going to see all the fear that you experienced during that cycle. If you look through the lens of love, you can say, oh my gosh, I faced this, but look what I did. I lost this, but look what I gained. With every fear or challenge or struggle, bringing love into the situation means that you say, yes, I did, but check me out now. Look at me now. Look what I did then. Look where I am now from where I was. And no matter how hard it was, we're still here. And that's powerful and meaningful, not just to you, but to the whole world, to the whole universe, and especially to spirit. Look, sword of light, divine protection, cords cut, and breakthrough energy. This is what you need to alchemize, the way that you perceive it. Build yourself up, but build yourself up with the truth. This isn't affirmations. This isn't deconditioning. You've been through the mill. You've been through the struggle. I will never, and I don't want you to ever downplay what you've been through. But every step of the way, you have survived. You are still here. You are still breathing. You have had divine protection, whether you saw it and realized it or not, no matter whether you were quote unquote awakened and enlightened, or whether you were sleeping and stuck in the matrix, as they like to say. No, you have had divine protection surrounding you all the time. And once you start viewing things from the higher perspective that you have cultivated, that you have worked on, that you have journeyed for, that you have suffered for, that's when you get that breakthrough energy and you realize you're at the top, not the bottom. The top. The next journey is the way down. Full moon in Pisces, forgive. Forgiveness is one of the best, most beautiful blessings that we get in this life. The ability, the perspective, and the willingness to forgive means that you are willing to say, you know what, I understand. I see it and I understand. And because I understand, I am choosing to forgive. And what is forgiveness? Forgiveness is letting go. It's not framing your reference based off of whatever happened. Sometimes what needs forgiveness is spirit. Sometimes it's for us to forgive spirit. I know I've been there. I was so mad when I was growing up, and I grew up religious, so I was mad at God. God works in mysterious ways, and God needed my dad, and I felt robbed, betrayed by the creator that I loved so much, that I admired so much. Church became a joke. I faked faith so much because I had none, because I was mad. I was hurt. I was angry. More than anything, I was afraid. I was afraid that every bit of hope that I had held as a child that had just been robbed, taken out of my hands, literally removed from my hands, that it was just a sign that I wasn't meant to be happy, that I wasn't meant to have hope, that this life was a cruel beast and spirit or God was the cruelest of them all. And that was just how I operated. And it took me time to forgive because I needed to understand. I needed to understand how that experience shaped and changed me. And I needed to feel gratitude for it. And I am so grateful for what I went through as a kid, for watching my dad die, for him dying in my hands. Like, I don't know. I always feel like people wouldn't believe me that I'm grateful for that, but I am, because it set off a chain of fated events in my life that built me into the person that I am. Had it not been for that, I may never be here bringing this message to you. I may never have had my children. I may never have experienced all the many things that I experienced, because it would have set me on a different fated path. My destiny would have always been to be of service, but it may have transpired in a dramatically different way. And the amount of healing that I have done for myself, for my kids, for my family, for my ancestral heritage may never have been done. I don't know. But it boiled down to learning and to seeing things through love and forgiving. Sometimes it's ourselves we have to forgive. Whatever it is, this phase, you have a new moon and a full moon. The new moon in Aquarius, I mean, if you look astrologically speaking, a new moon comes before a full moon. Aquarius comes before Pisces. So when you bring love back into the situation, back into all of it, all of your being and everything around you, forgiveness just flows from you. Forgiveness is a sign of self-respect, because you're saying, I choose to let it go, to forgive you so that I can be free. Why? Because I understand that you are as divine as I am. You may not realize it as much as I do, but I see it. And so I can send you love and forgiveness, even if it means to a past self, to spirit, to God, to your creator, however you define it, to yourself, to another. And through that, you cut those cords of negativity, of toxicity, of pain, of hardship, of struggle. You cut those cords, alchemizing all of it. What you're alchemizing it into, that's what you're going to be continuing on. Yes, Capricorn and achieve. You're alchemizing it into this grounded awareness of what you're capable of achieving in your life. Do you understand how big of an achievement giving forgiveness is to another? It's a miraculous thing. All right, let's get a little bit more. Pile 3, I was not expecting this at all, but I'm honored to have you guys here. The caliber of energy of messages coming through here today, I am so deeply honored to be here, to experience this and to share these messages. I just hope you understand and can feel the gratitude from my heart on this one. We had the 8 of Rods, or the 8 of Wands. And the 8 of Elixirs, or the 8 of Cups. 8s, a lot of 8s here. And then finally the 9 with the Hermit. See? The Hermit. This illumination, this awareness, this understanding that you're coming into of just what it means to let things go, how rapidly your life will progress, how rapidly things change. We're moving from one to the other. It's like the sun rising and setting. This is literally east. For where my desk is, that direction is east, north, west, and south. This is like the sun's path through the sky. You realize that it's time to cut cords, so you choose to walk away from the toxicity, letting go of poison, letting go of despair, waking up, understanding to cleanse your aura, to walk your journey of the soul, to meet in the liminal space in between, in your inner world, to meet the ending and the beginning point of fate, to realize that you are living your destined life, giving forgiveness so that you can move into achievement in your life. This right here. You're following the path of your true life-giving self, the true essence of your own divinity. That's what you're alchemizing. Everything that came before is what you're alchemizing. Everything. Inner, outer, everything. And I hope and pray that you are as proud of yourself as Spirit is, as your ancestors are, your angels, your guides, as I am. So let's get some final astrological energies. We have Leo in the first house with Mars. So you may be a Leo rising, you may be an Aries rising. Either way, they don't have to be that. But what this is, Leo is ruled by the sun. The first house is ruled by Mars. You're reawakening your ambition, your determination, your drive, your desire for more, for expansiveness. And it's starting within. It's starting within your physical body, but you're also choosing to move forward with this knowing that you have the spark that it takes to meet the world as your truest self, to express yourself in fullness. As you go through this alchemical process of letting go, of forgiveness, of cutting these cords, of seeing yourself and everything you've been through and everything around you through the eyes of love, through the divinity that is within you, you're beginning to awaken a more healthy divine masculine, a healthy body, mind, soul, harmonized and ready to greet the world as the truest version of yourself. And this world needs that, needs you. Pile 3, this is your message. I want to say thank you. I want to give deep gratitude for you for being here. I also would like to say thank you to your guides and mine, as well as the great spirit and ancestors. Thank you for coming forth, for connecting these energies, for facilitating the messages, for helping everything flow in the way that it did today. Thank you for this auspicious moment on my journey and for allowing me to be the messenger that gets to play a part in the journey of Pile 3. It's been a true honor. Thank you. Pile 3, I would love to know how this resonates. Comment in the comment section below. I would love to interact with you guys. It's been an honor. If you would like to do an equal energy exchange, you can always watch the ads before and after, as well as subscribe to my channel, like the video, comment in the comments, hit the notification bell, all those fun YouTube-y things. But pile 3, I hope that you take from this reading how much of a blessing you truly are. Your energy, your story, your guide, your guides. But the things that you have overcome and done, I can feel the energies of them. And I hope you know what an inspiration you are because you have inspired me. All right, Pile 3, I love you all. I will see you next time. Bye. Hello, Pile 4. If you chose the 4th card, the Margarita Preciosa, or the New Pearl card, this is your message. So you guys are alchemizing deep internal healing. And the New Pearl card, when you think about a pearl is formed by a piece of debris, usually sand or food, that gets trapped. And over time, it it creates enough resistance, we'll say. I'm trying to translate this the best that I can. It creates enough of enough friction. That's the word I'm looking for. Thank you, Spirit. It creates enough friction internally to begin to form into a pearl. And over time, with the sand and the salt and the water, it turns into a pearl. It shines. It's iridescent. It's reflective, but it also can't be seen completely through. And when we are going through a healing phase, and especially with this crystals and healing, when we're going through a healing phase of something that is as hard as a stone, we want to polish that piece in order to strengthen it. And that can be a difficult thing to understand when we're polishing a piece of ourselves, or we're polishing something that resulted from a very painful experience. I apologize if you guys can hear that noise. It's Willow in the background. She is chewing on her nyla bone. But pile 4, with this new pearl, this may be something that is occurring that is almost a natural thing for you to do, as though it's something that you are just used to at this point. But there's something different about this particular round of alchemization. A lot of the time when we look at a crystal, when we look at a stone, and especially one that has been tumbled and polished, we don't realize that bits and pieces of that have come off. There's dust, there's debris that gets worn away in the process in order to get to the core of it, to the most vibrant part of the crystal itself. This is about wearing away the things that keep you feeling raw about certain things, the things that keep you feeling like you constantly have something stuck in your energy. And no matter what you do, no matter how much cleansing, how much grounding, how much healing work you do, it doesn't ever seem to come out. In those moments, our perception can be that we need to remove it. But what your guides and spirit are coming through today to talk about is shifting it, changing it, shining it up, shining it up. It's, can we get a correlatable thing? I was married prior to my marriage now for about 8 years. And in those 8 years, there were maybe 18 months in which I believed that I had made the right choice. 18 months, that's a year and a half. And I spent the next 6.5 years wondering, what did I do? Why did I make this choice? Why did I decide what I did? And I just saw 444 on the clock, and you guys did choose the card 44. So you may be seeing repeating 4s. You are pile 4 too. Anyway, I spent a lot of time questioning my choices, my path, and I had at one point resigned myself to that being the way that my life was going to be. That was just who I was. And I used to say, it is what it is, because I had given up. When I started saying it is what it is, it was about 3 or 4 months until the universe stepped in and orchestrated a series of events that led to my divorce, that led to everything that needed to come before me coming here now. It took me until about 6 months ago, and it has been It has been, as of November of this year, it will be 8 years that I've been divorced. But it took me until about 6 months ago, give or take, until I allowed myself to acknowledge the fact that the entire time I was married, no matter how traumatic, no matter how toxic, no matter how much domestic violence I suffered, no matter how much gaslighting, no matter how bad it was, I loved him. The problem was that I loved him more than I loved myself. I didn't know how to love myself. And because I was with someone who didn't know how to love me and who only knew his anger and only knew his hatred and his resentment of me, I believed that that was what love that I received looked like until my world changed. But I did love him. And that was a part of my energy that I resisted, a part that I was trying to remove. I was trying to deny, a part that I wasn't proud of. Sometimes we want to remove parts of our energy, parts of ourselves, parts of our stories, parts of our journeys because they hurt, because they're painful, because they cause friction. But the friction isn't there to be a continual source of pain. The friction is there because it takes time. It takes time for the pearls to arise. That's why we call them pearls of wisdom. They say that wisdom takes time to learn, to understand, to know what it is, because you have to learn. You have to attain or retain the knowledge. You have to experience, and then you have to take the knowledge and the experience and blend and meld them together until you come out with pearls of wisdom. You're undergoing a phase right now where you're getting to the point of the polishing, of the shining, where you'll be able to reach into the bag and pull these pearls out, and you'll be able to look at them, and you'll be able to see all that transpired in these moments, the experiences, the knowledge that you had, and then you'll be able to say, this is the wisdom that I have to share. So let's read the book and see what the book says about the pearl. It says, Margarita Preciosa, the new pearl, grit, irritation, and waiting. The new pearl is one of the great promises of alchemy. From a single grain of sand, the pearl forms slowly but surely in the salty mouth of the oyster. The new pearl emerges as an alchemical miracle, a sight unimaginable at the outset. That said, the process is generated from irritation itself. Such is the medicine of the new pearl card. The work is underway, but the gem has not yet formed. Don't become petty and hasty, seeking a return on your efforts. Rather, turn to patience, consistency, and humility to remedy the discomfort. Let the magic of time and salt water do its work. Relax, believe, and support a fellow alchemist in finding the grit that will become their pearl. Don't worry about you right now. The entire ocean is your ally. And to go deeper into this concept, you can read The Pearl by John Steinbeck. But ponder for a moment, if you will, the pearl turning back to sand. And it says, the pearl is made from only one grain of sand, one irritant. Take a moment to thank this irritant for being so consistently challenging, allowing the pearl to begin its formation. All right. And before we get into your other cards, I need to let Willow out. I'll be right back. As I was going to let Willow out, I heard, why do we do anything that we do? And then I was shown an image of myself, actually. But when I work on making my handmade wands. And there are multiple layers, multiple different, I want to call them degrees of sandpaper that I use. Some of them are rougher than others in order to help clear the knots or smooth out the knots, in order to kind of unify and get the wood into a uniform feeling. The other ones are to polish it. We go through different stages, different phases of the healing journey. It's never linear. And things come back up. That's when we have to think, which type of sandpaper do I use? Why do we do anything that we do? When we ask ourselves, why am I doing this? Why am I thinking about this? Why am I engaging in this? We open up the door. You're not challenging the relevance. You're not asking the universe something in a state of anguish. You're saying, well, why is this coming up? And then allow yourself to step back and observe what's going on in your life. What are the thoughts that you're having? What are the emotions that are arising? When we go through this time frame of alchemizing a pain into a pearl, going through the healing phase, why are we doing it? Why do we dig up rocks out of the ground and put them through the polishing process? Because they carry special qualities, special traits, special features, special energy in order to aid us. Spirit wants you to be able to see these things in a different light so that you understand the things that are arising right now are arising so that you can polish them, shine them up, but you can tap into different forms of energy that were not what they were not what they are to begin with. Just like the pearl began as a grain of sand, it is not what it was from the beginning. So let's go a little deeper. We have hold your vision with fixed moon. Everything that comes up, it comes up in order to aid us on our journey. When we have a vision, when we have a view of where we want to go, what we want to do, what we want to accomplish, where we're meant to be, or the life that we know that we're meant to live, and we are going through a healing alchemization, these things can come up and we can feel challenged in the sense of doubt, insecurity, inadequacy, imposter syndrome. We can look at these things and be like, I'm not worthy of this, or this isn't right for me. We can have doubt, we can have fear. This card itself is asking you to hold to what you know is right for you and allow what needs to be irritating to irritate you enough so that you can polish it, because it's part of the vision that you have. And then we have solar light upgrade, solar plexus chakra, inner fire, and willpower. You guys may have chosen another pile. There's a little bit of the same energy, and I'm being brought back to a similar message. When we go through a solar plexus upgrade, when we are tapping into our sun energy, our light, our ability to shine like a beacon, like a life-giving energy in the world, we have to face the things in the past along our journey, even the things in the present that make us feel as though we are not truly who we are. The things that deplete us, the things that exhaust us. And then ask ourselves, why are these things depleting and exhausting me? Are they actually depleting and exhausting things? Or am I allowing them to be that way because I don't understand that they don't have to impact me? And from that point, you say, okay, this is what the truth is. This is how I see it. This is what is going on. Now I'm going to go and I'm going to allow it to heal. I'm going to accept this as an irritating factor, and I'm going to allow myself to heal more fully so that I can step more fully into my willpower, into my truth, holding my vision and moving forward. Full moon in Aries, cool your emotions. When we go through this kind of solar light upgrade and we have an emotional triggering, we can think of the oyster with the pearl and the ocean water, and how anytime you have that kind of motion of irritant, it creates enough friction to create heat. So the heat can make us feel emotionally over the top. You're learning right now, what you are alchemizing right now in order to step into your personal power is to understand your emotions, but to remember that your heart leads you in love, and your emotions are not your identity. They are not who you are, but they are a steady stream of intuitive information to teach you, to help transform everything into that pearl of wisdom. So cooling them, calming them down, balancing them back out, balancing it out so that you don't shift one direction or the other, helps you remain in a state of inner peace. The struggles of the past don't have to be that way. But your emotions are meant to be felt and then released. And an emotional release can come in many forms. You can, if you're angry, you can go for a run. You can lift weights. You can airbox. You could even, I'm seeing somebody playing heavy metal on the guitar and like headbanging. Like, of course, yes, you can do all those things. You can actually listen to heavy metal bands and just get it all out. If it's hitting you and it hurts and it brings anguish or sadness, cry out those tears. Cry out everything. It's such a beautiful purge. But right now, you're turning so many things into something greater. It's like creating a pearl necklace, and you're moving into a state of less reactivity and more awareness. And when you're in this state, what you end up feeling is a greater sense of calm and peace. Wow, pile 4. Yes. Pluto in rebirth. So Pluto is the grit. Pluto is the irritant. Pluto is the one that brings these things up, that creates that tension and that pressure and that irritation. Why? Because Pluto wants us to transform. Pluto is all about transformation. And transformation isn't always easy. Alchemization isn't always easy. But Pluto is gifting you, my lovely pile 4s, with the ability to become a new version of yourself. It doesn't mean that you're not being true to yourself. And it doesn't mean that old versions of yourself weren't true to yourself at that time. But you're shifting into a new you, and it sitting in your energy, it's one that is significantly less worried, less stressed, has more peace, has more patience, has more clarity of mind. When you hold to exactly what you know is right for you, And instead of being emotionally driven, you're driven by your inner light, your inner fire. That is true passion. It doesn't burn out and it doesn't burn too bright and it doesn't run the risk of scorching you or another person. And it's like your entire emotional body being really like, I'm seeing like the spin cycle of a washer. It's like it's being washed clean and cleansed completely. So let's get a little bit more information. What more does my pile for need to know? And I apologize, you guys, if the audio is up and down. I am doing my best here with the new setup and everything. And I'm waiting on some extra things for my new computer system so that I have, higher processing speed and everything like that. Because the computer I'm working on just has a slower processing speed. When I'm working with a 4K, I'll be able to figure out what the best layout and setup is for my filming. Let me know down in the comment section if you guys prefer just the cards or if you like to see me on camera. I'm incredibly flexible right now. I think I've tapped really deeply into my progress chart with all of the mutable energy, and I'm just kind of flowing with life right now. And I see 22:22 on the clock. So 2s and 4s. All right. Thank you. So we have the Queen of Rods or the Queen of Swords. I have the whole deck upside down. Can I get just one more, Spirit? Or 2. Okay. The Knight of Blades or the Knight of Swords. And the Page of Elixirs or the Page of Cups. And then on the back, we have the 5 of Rods. So you may have been going through a lot of experiences that felt like you were being challenged by the outside world, people competing with you, people wanting to battle with you. But in not engaging in the battle, what you were doing was it wasn't being cowardly and it wasn't running away. I don't know who needs to hear this, but I'm seeing somebody who is like head to head and then they just walk away, and everybody can lash, all the other people outside of yourself, they can lash out at that. They can try and compete. They can try, but you realize if you're going to sit on your throne of power, it doesn't put you in competition with anyone because none of us are actually competing with each other. We are all here doing our divine work. Even the people that do the worst things are doing divine work. They just don't realize it. And a lot of times we have a hard time realizing it. But what this is telling me is as you hold your vision, there may be times and periods in which you feel as though you are being naive, being too narrow-minded, or just you're not in step with the rest of the world. Pile 4, you're not meant to be. You're not meant to be. You're meant to know exactly what it is that holds people back. You're meant to know exactly what it is that one has to go through in order to have an entire necklace full of pearls. In order to truly stand in your personal power, your spiritual authority, your emotional sovereignty, you're meant to be that person, be that beacon, expand through that, and teach people about it in whatever way feels right to you. I've noticed that we have this very narrow definition of a teacher because we think of school or people who are online and doing informative videos of some sort. But teachers come in all shapes and sizes. I learn more from tarot than I do from most gurus because tarot is a teacher in my life. You define what is or is not your teaching style. You could be a singer and teach people. You could, okay? You could be a mime out on the street corner and teach people. I literally saw someone as a mime, like in New York City. So when I say you're meant to teach people, expand the definition of teacher, or rather, shed the definition entirely. Don't label it. Just be it, embody it. All right, let's get some final astrological energies for you guys. So we have the 6th house, the North Node, and Gemini. This doesn't have to be any kind of placements, but what this is telling me is with the 6th house and Gemini energy, this is about the work that you do in the world, the service that you are to others, but it's also about recognizing part of your destiny, part of your purpose, your path, your calling in this life with this North Node. Part of that has to do with embodying duality completely, understanding that you are both and none at the same time, being in the world but not of the world, and knowing what that means and embracing that, embodying that, and coming forth into the world that way. The work that you do for yourself, you are doing for the collective, even if it is behind the scenes, even if no one else knows. But what this is telling me, if some of you have been looking at ways of bridging spirituality and physicality, spirituality and the material world in any way, shape, or form as a means of day-to-day work that you do, not necessarily a career, not necessarily a creative passion or a purpose or anything like that. There is a destined path for you. There is a path that you are meant to walk on that incorporates those two things together, whatever those two things are. Hold to the vision that you have and trust yourself moving forward. I myself struggle a lot of the time with figuring out what I'm supposed to do financially speaking. I am so much more comfortable in the spiritual realms. And it's not that I don't see a spiritual business forming for me. I do. It's just I'm more comfortable in the ethers. I'm more comfortable in my quiet little corner of the world with my tarot cards and my books and my studies and my astrology charts a lot of the time. And when we go through a massive transformation with Pluto, it pushes us to come out of the cocoon, to come out of the cave, out of our quiet little corner in the world, and to share more expansively. That's how I ended up here. Pile 4, whatever it is, this alchemization process that you're going through, don't try to remove these things anymore. String them together, put them together, and wear them proudly, regally, because you are. You are that regal, and you have survived and accomplished and overcome so much more than I am sure anyone realizes. You should wear those accomplishments. Shine them brightly. All right, pile 4, this is what I have for you. I want to say thank you. Of course, thank you from the depths of my heart and soul with such gratitude and love for you guys for being here. The caliber of energy for this reading, thank you so much. Thank you to your guides, my guides, and the Great Spirit for connecting these energies, facilitating the messages so that they may come through, flow through, so that they may reach those who are open and ready to receive them in the time that is right for them. Thank you. All right, my lovely pile 4s. As always, it is such an honor. I love you guys deeply, and I am just so grateful for you guys being here. I would love to interact with you guys. You guys can comment in the comment section below, like this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And if you feel up to it, hit that notification bell. I love you guys. I don't really have anything else. I will see you guys at my next reading. Bye.